Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the IAE's podcast, Phoenix Focus. Today, we are interviewing the Vice Principal of International Academy East, Gabby Nas. This is our co-host, Sonia George, and I'm Akila Shidra.
Hello. So we are going to get started with first question. What is the IB program, and how is it different from the AP program that a student would take at Troy High or Athens?
Hi, thanks for having me, guys. IB is a program of study that is governed by the International Baccalaureate, which is a group of educators from all over the world. By program of study, I mean that it is fully developed. It is not just one-off classes that students sign up for. At the IAE, we do their full IB diploma. So that means students are getting not only their high school diploma, but also this full IB International Baccalaureate diploma that says that they have done basically college level classes in grades 11th and 12th across a whole range of subject areas. So the difference between what happens here and at Troy High and Athens is simply that we do all of our classes at an advanced level when students enter 11th grade.
So when I personally was coming to the IA, my parents were a lot like, colleges are going to look at IB completely differently. Is that true?
I think they definitely look at it a little bit differently. I think one of the things that's really great about the IB is that we allow students there's not always right answers. A lot of their assessments are student focused. They're allowing you guys to develop, statements of inquiry and explorations that you have a personal interest in. I think about all the internal assessments you guys do between 11th and 12th grade. Your teachers aren't giving you those ideas. So whether it's an art exhibition, a lab, a topic of research for your math internal, those are things that you guys are really excited about. And you do a tremendous amount of writing. So I think the IB program really prepares you for college level work and for that sustained level of research and interest in a topic that you're passionate about, which is really cool. Not that AP is bad, it's just a different approach. Your tests are open-ended, and you guys have to really think about what you're excited and interested in.
I still remember writing my 4,000-word essay, just like last year.
It is a badge of honor once you get through that process. But think about how many kids don't get that experience before they go to college.
I mean, I heard a lot of people talk about how in college, people are complaining about a 1,000-word essay, but then IB kids are like, I wrote a 4,000-word essay a few years ago. I can do this.
You guys have done it.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. And again, nobody told you what to do it on. You could pick any topic you're excited about, which is pretty neat.
So going into the IAE, it's not like a normal process like Troy High or Athens. There's a lottery, there's an admissions process. How does this all work?
This is the trickiest part about the IAE. So we are a school of choice, which means students apply. It's an open lottery system for students that live in the Troy School District and then for students that live outside of Oakland County. So we have students that come from Detroit, Macomb, Sterling Heights, as far away as Canton. And when I say outside of Oakland County, it has to be districts that touch Oakland County. Some of our other students that go to IA West are also outside of Oakland County, but they don't necessarily touch it. So students apply. Actually, the deadline's coming up by January 29th this year. And then all of those students will get a lottery number. On February 2nd, we bring in a hopper from central office. All the cards with students' names on them go into a giant hopper, kind of like a big bingo thing, and we rotate it, and we pull out a number for every single kid. We have 85 seats for our out-of-county students, and then we have 80 seats for our Troy students. But sometimes we get more students than 80 or 85 that apply. What we do is Mrs. Fair, who's our enrollment coordinator, will go through and they will call every single family and say, hey, you're seat number 1. Do you want to come to IAE East? The only other requirement outside of where you live and going through the enrollment process or the lottery process, it would just be taking a math test. So we do math placement tests in February. Because we're a small school and we're school of choice, you just have to meet that math placement, and there's a lot of opportunities to do that. You can test, I think, 3 times, and then we also offer summer school. So as long as you can pass into the point that we need our Math 2 students to be at, then we offer students enrollment. And we do that all the way through August. So we'll go down all the numbers. I think last year we were at like 206 or 207, and Mrs. Fair called every single family until we had a full seat. some years we've even called students once classes have already started. But it's our hope to make sure we've got every seat full, and we can go as far as down that list as possible.
So that's not the only thing different about IA. There's so many more different things. One of them is how our classes are organized. So usually at a traditional high school, there's 6 periods, 6 hours. But here at the IA, we have 8 classes. How do we organize that?
I think it's really nice. So we do 8 block schedule classes. So you have 4 classes on A day, 4 classes on B day, and we flip-flop A and B. What's nice about that is that it really allows you to dive deeper into topics, to have some built-in work time to check in with teachers, and really a little bit more, focused attention on whatever task you're presented with. So it's been good in my opinion. I taught middle school before I came to IA East, and those were 42-minute classes. I don't know how we did anything in 42 minutes. So I think especially in some of those classes where you're creating a product or you're running a lab, frankly, sometimes an assessment can be a little bit lengthier if you're having time to write. So those 90-minute blocks are really great for that. And the other thing that's different about IA is that because we're IB and we're this program of study, a lot of the classes are already prescribed for you. So we don't have as many electives, and that's because IB has a really sort of humanities-based approach. So they want you to take classes in a variety of subjects, not just, the state requirements, and then you pick a whole bunch of, electives that you're interested in. So while we have a lot of students here who are science-focused or interested in the arts, the IB requirements make sure that we're ensuring students are getting a balance across every subject area, including foreign language. Like students here take 4 years of foreign language, which is above the Michigan state requirements. So there's a few other things that students have to take here that you wouldn't have to at Troy Higher Athens, but I think that makes our students a little bit more well-rounded. You get to meet other students in classes that you might not have met if you were at a traditional high school because you wouldn't have taken those classes. And that's another reason colleges really like students coming from IB programs because they've taken a little bit of everything and have a clear sense of what they will be getting into when they get into college.
That's cool. So do you think 90 minutes is too long for each class?
I mean, I was an art teacher before this, so I definitely think no. I think it depends on how it's structured, right? I think there's a lot you can do in 90 minutes. One of the things I thought was really great when I came to IA was that students could have that front-facing time with their teachers where they're doing direct instruction activities. And then there was a little bit of downtime for kids to get a jump start on homework or ask questions. And when you're in a 6-block or 7-block day, it is bam, 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 really quick. So I really liked that it could slow down the pace of what we were doing, even though is a lot of work. I appreciated that we had that time to really slow down, get into whatever topic we were working on, and hopefully sometimes make it so that kids didn't have to take homework home with them as well.
I completely forgot you were an art teacher and you were my art teacher
in
at
a
one
former
point.
life, yes. Slightly different role now.
Yeah. So, is IB generally harder than AP courses?
I think they're similar. Some people would describe IB as like a lot of depth into a topic, and AP maybe more breadth because you're doing a lot of, I think historically their tests have been a lot of multiple choice questions. There's no question. There's rigor in both programs. I think what's unique about how we offer IB is that they're not one-off classes. Everything we do is IB, and I think that's pretty unique. There are schools that offer IB classes just like AP, but I think what makes East special is that everything you guys are doing, even in 9th and 10th grade, those MYP classes are done with an IB slant, and we're making sure our curriculum aligns with this international curriculum. So, for students that are coming from abroad or students who are interested in applying to colleges overseas, that gives them all the preparation that they need to be in an alignment. It's also really cool. Like, I think about our assessments that we send off that get evaluated. Those go to examiners all over the world. My first year here, I remember one of the art components was going to people in like Mozambique and then Italy, and I don't remember the third country. Like, that's crazy. And then they score all of our students' work, and then that's how we get the exams. So to think about our student work being compared to students all over the world and colleges see that you've met this level of rigor is pretty cool.
So considering the new freshmen that are already here and people that are applying to IA, what can a student expect in IA? Like, is there anything in specific that they should prioritize or look forward to?
Lots of things. I think the perception sometimes from the outside world is that this is a really hard place. There's a lot of rigor, a lot of homework. But I think, coming into any high school situation, that's going to be true. I think for students coming in, I would say we are looking for students that want to make this a better world, that are curious and open-minded, that want to learn about things and try to understand why the world is the way it is. I would also say sleep and time management would probably be my two biggest pieces of advice, but that is for all of our students, you guys as well, right? Senior year, it's a lot of work. I think there's a lot of fear coming into high school that classes and expectations change, but I think our teachers do a pretty good job of making sure that happens at a staggered and slightly balanced approach. They're not slamming ninth graders when they come in. I think we try to slow roll that process so that the kids feel comfortable and start to understand what the expectations are, but that's going to be true of any of the Troy schools. But yeah, sleep, time management, those are really anybody's best friend. But I think high school students, those would be the two things that I would emphasize.
I mean, it's harder to tell how important sleep is when you're a freshman. But once you get to senior year and you get 2 hours of sleep, you really want that 8 hours.
Yep. But time management, I mean, I think about some of our kids that have graduated, like student athletes, had jobs, like we got to prioritize what's important to us. And one of those IB learner profile traits that we always tease you guys about, like that sense of balance, I think is really important. Because you guys should have time for fun and academics and, spending time with your friends and family. You only get to do high school once, I hope. So fingers crossed. So you want to make sure you get all those things in.
So how does a student who comes to IA play sports when the school doesn't offer sports?
That is a good question. We get that a lot. So we do have some sports. We've got some club sports here. Basketball club and volleyball club. Actually, I saw some kids playing. It wasn't pickleball. What were they playing? Badminton the other day. So we do have some things happening here, but all of our students are eligible to play in Troy. If you are a resident of Troy and you would have traditionally gone to Troy High, you could go play at Troy High. So we've got basketball and football players currently on teams, but anybody who comes from out of county or students who live on the Athens side, they're also eligible to play at Athens as well. So yeah, we've got kids from Sterling Heights and Macomb who play at Athens because they're a student here and they're school of choice students, so they get to play with their friends from Athens.
So they're really not losing out on anything by coming to the IA?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we are small. We're in a smaller building. We have fewer students, but I do think, that's a benefit too, right? You guys get to know your teachers really well. It's pretty common for kids to get to know the same teacher a couple of times in class. We certainly know who you guys are. And I think your classmates too, right? There's usually a class of 140 to 150, so you get to know everybody really well. I think there's a level of comfort in that, which is really important when you're trying to learn something new and to take risks academically. You want to feel that sense of safety and comfort. So I think it allows us to really dig into some tricky topics and allow students to feel safe in a hard learning environment. There's a benefit to that smallness.
Yeah, I mean, freshman year, I didn't really know many people, but right when we got into second semester, I started feeling like I knew everyone in my grade at least. It was a more comforting experience. I feel like if I went to Troy High, I would have been more nervous, even though we got to second semester, I would have still been, I don't know this person. But yeah, that's one of the big perks of IA.
Yeah, even if you don't know names, right? You recognize faces. I also really love you guys have lived it the whole time, but we used to have a traditional student council. And I think moving to the house system has also really been a nice change for our school culture. Letting 9th, 10th, and 11th graders work together on, big school-wide projects like the food drive we just did or to play in our Olympics. I think that builds a sense of community that sometimes in a larger school is just hard to accomplish. I think our peer core group has also done a really nice job of making sure that our ninth graders connect with upperclassmen and feel like they're welcomed into this place. Because high school's hard anyway. So IA's, the academics are hard. So we want to make sure kids are feeling welcomed and like they belong here. So I think both of those things have been really good for our school.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this podcast with us.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I really hope this was helpful for people who actually want to come to the IA. Truly, it's a great experience. Personally, ninth grade, it might feel like a rough start, but it definitely gets better. It's a fun experience. Well, thank you everyone for listening in. We will see you next month for our January podcast. And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.